The end of the 2024 F1 season is in sight, as F1 heads into its final 3 races, and the first of this triple header is the third race in the United States, which is the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which means that once again it is time for my preview and predictions. This is a series where I'll be previewing, and then at the end of the video giving out my early predictions for what I think will happen in the Grand Prix. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get into the video. As usual, I'll be talking about the top teams later on, so please do stick around for that. Yep, F1 is back in Las Vegas, and we could be crowning Max Verstappen as a 4-time world champion after he crushed any hopes Lando Norris had last time out in Brazil with a fantastic drive to take victory despite starting down in 17th place. But, as I said, F1 is now moving on to Las Vegas. The Vegas street circuit was added to the calendar in 2023, and despite the very cringe surrounding the event, it did produce a very good race, as the circuit does allow for overtaking down the very long straights. The circuit sees the cars go past some of the iconic Las Vegas hotspots. They go past the Las Vegas Sphere and then down the world famous Las Vegas Strip. The Las Vegas Grand Prix is another night race as well, but unlike most night races on the calendar, the temperature can be incredibly low. Yes, they are racing in Nevada, but that doesn't mean that there will be high temperatures, because as of right now, it looks like it could be less than 10 degrees Celsius, making it the coldest race of the year. Because of this, tyre temperature in qualifying is going to be crucial, which means Ferrari might struggle a little bit more when it comes to one lap. However, the circuit itself should suit their car quite nicely, especially in race trim. Alongside the long straights, there are some very tight and slow corners. These slow corners is going to be where all the time is either won or lost. I can see Red Bull, because of these slow corners, being the third fastest car when it comes to race trim. With Las Vegas being a street race and potentially running in very cold temperatures, Pirelli have decided that they will be bringing the 3 softest tyres in the range, meaning that the C3 is the hard tyre, the C4 is the medium, and the C5 will be the soft compound of tyre. In last year's race, the majority did a one-stop pretty easily, as there was a total of 31 pit stops. The strategy was pretty straightforward, going from the medium tyres to the hard tyres. A few drivers did opt to use soft tyres, but that tyre is mainly just a qualifying tyre. This year, I anticipate that it will be another one-stop race using the medium and hard tyres. In last year's race, there was a total of 99 on-track overtakes, meaning that overtaking around this circuit is very possible and pretty easy. To help with the on-track overtaking, the Las Vegas circuit does feature 2 DRS zones. The first DRS zone is on the exit of turn 4, down the straight heading into turn 5, and the second DRS zone is on the run down the Las Vegas Strip, heading into the tight turn 14 chicane. With the length of the straights, I expect that once again, overtaking will be pretty easy, and we will see plenty of on-track action. Last year, the pole position lap time was set by Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and that time was a 1:32.726. During that lap, Leclerc reached a top speed of 346 km per hour. During the Grand Prix itself, the race fastest lap was set by Oscar Piastri in the McLaren, and he set a time of a 1:35.490. This year, with the extra data from last year, I expect that the teams and drivers will be setting faster lap times, especially if they actually get to have all 3 practice sessions. I just want to say, if you are enjoying the video so far, then I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now though, let's get back to the video, and let's talk about Alpine. Yep, I wouldn't normally do this, but today I am going to be talking about Alpine in the midfield, because in Brazil, Alpine had an incredible race and launched themselves up the order in the Constructors' Championship. They have now overtaken Haas and RB to move up to 6th place in the Constructors, but going into Las Vegas, I will be surprised if they can maintain this position. They did have a great race, but in a fully dry Vegas race, I expect that they will be beaten by Haas, who will likely be very strong as their car suits this circuit perfectly, especially with the long straights. And with that and Haas's typical high top speed, I can see the Haas team moving back up to 6th place in the constructors. For Mercedes, the race in Brazil was a bit of a mixed bag. Lewis Hamilton had a very poor race and he was really struggling with bouncing and the balance of that Mercedes car. Teammate George Russell also had a poor handling car, but he was able to handle the car better than Lewis was. Hamilton didn't really score any points, but Russell was able to beat Charles Leclerc, which given the difference in performance between the two cars was very impressive. Going into Las Vegas, I expect Mercedes will be the 4th fastest car, as they don't have the performance of the other 3 teams based on their recent upgrades. They also look to be a little bit harder on their tyres, so I can see it being a bit of a lonely race for them, unless there is some chaos which brings them back into the mix. For Red Bull, it was finally Grand Prix victory once again for Max Verstappen, as he won in very tricky conditions and he all but clinched the World Drivers' Championship. Red Bull had been making steady gains on their rivals and slowly getting back towards McLaren and Ferrari. However, I do have to say they were really helped by the rain, because in the dry, Red Bull was still not as strong as McLaren. And going into Las Vegas, I can see Red Bull once again being behind McLaren and also Ferrari in race trim. However, Red Bull are expected to be bringing some upgrades, so it will be interesting to see if those upgrades can help them finally close that gap to the top 2 teams in race trim. That being said, in qualifying trim, I can see Max Verstappen potentially getting into the mix and fighting for pole position. Teammate Sergio Perez will at least be there at the race. I can see Perez potentially having a better weekend in Las Vegas, especially compared to Brazil. Last year it was one of the final few races where he was actually decent, but I don't think it will be enough for Red Bull in their hunt for the Constructors' Championship, and I think Red Bull are going to be at best finishing in 2nd place this year. For Ferrari then, the race in Brazil was not a great one. In the dry they were better in terms of position and performance than they were in the wet, and we saw Charles Leclerc have another strong performance during the sprint portion of the weekend. Even in the Grand Prix he did have a good race, but it was not as strong as he was in the sprint, as he was beaten by George Russell in the Mercedes. Teammate Carlos Sainz had a very bad day, as he crashed in qualifying and also the Grand Prix. Going into Las Vegas, I can see Ferrari potentially struggling a little bit in qualifying with tyre warm-up. However, it has to be said, if they can get it right, then this could be a very, very strong weekend for them. The circuit is one that suits their car perfectly, as we have seen in Mexico and also Baku earlier in the year. This should be a great race, especially for Charles Leclerc, who did have a great performance last year here as well. If they get qualifying right, then actually I do think there is a chance we could see Ferrari winning the Grand Prix and potentially putting a little bit more pressure on McLaren for the Constructors' Championship. Finally, for McLaren, it was pretty much the end of the road for them in the Drivers' Championship, as Lando Norris was having a good race until the safety car and red flag came out. After that, he did all he could to pretty much end his chances in the championship. It was a bit of a disappointing way to end what was a good championship run for him, but McLaren can now at least focus on the Constructors' Championship, which I think they're still in a great place to win, and Las Vegas should be a good race for them. I don't think we will see any more team orders for the team, as they will be looking now to secure what is the best possible positions, which will be first in the Constructors' Championship, and secure a first Constructors' Championship since 1998. So, whoever the lead driver is in the race will probably be the lead driver at the end of the race for them. So with that in mind then, what are my very early predictions for the Las Vegas Grand Prix? Well, I think the top midfield team and midfield driver will be Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas car. As I said earlier, I think Haas will be very well suited to this kind of circuit. But now, what about pole position in the top 5? Well, for pole position, I am going to go for Lando Norris in the McLaren to take pole position, but what about the top 5 in the Grand Prix? Well, in P5, I'm going to go for Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. P4 will be Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. P3 will be that pole sitter Lando Norris. P2 will be Charles Leclerc. And I'm going to go for Oscar Piastri to win the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But I'm not really sure which one of the top 3 will actually do it. So I'm going to go for Oscar Piastri. But those are my thoughts. The question is, what do you guys think will happen? In the comment section down below, please do let me know. And as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.